In the UK, a disastrous virus originating from a lab spreads rapidly, transforming the population into ferocious creatures. The virus causes widespread destruction, resulting in the loss of thousands of lives. Amidst the chaos, Don and his wife Alice, who is distinguished by her heterochromatic eyes, manage to seek refuge in a secluded countryside cottage along with fellow survivors Jeff, Sally, Jacob, and Karen. Alice and Don's children, who had gone on a school trip to Spain, are safely away from the horrors. Their relief is palpable, knowing their kids are far from the outbreak. During one tense afternoon, the group is interrupted by frantic knocking on the door. A young voice pleads for help, sparking a debate. Don hesitates, wary of the dangers, but Alice convinces him, recognizing the vulnerability in the child's cries. Upon letting the boy inside, they provide him food while he recounts his terrifying experience. His parents had succumbed to the infection and were now among the monstrous horde chasing him across the countryside. The tension heightens as Karen, anxious about her missing boyfriend, peeks through a small opening in the window. Unfortunately, this simple act alerts nearby infected, who rush the cottage. The creatures breach the window, and one manages to grab Karen, sinking its teeth into her arm. Jacob rushes to pull her away, but it's too late. Karen transforms into one of them, her body convulsing violently before she vomits blood and turns on Jacob. In a desperate moment, Don appears and strikes her, allowing Jacob to escape. However, the infected continue to swarm the house, forcing Don to defend the others as they make their escape. As the situation escalates, Alice and the boy retreat down a hallway, only to be separated in the confusion. Meanwhile, Jeff, Sally, and Jacob attempt to flee through the barn, but Jeff sacrifices himself by holding off the infected, ensuring the others have a chance. Sadly, Sally is overtaken as well, leaving Jacob no choice but to escape through a window, abandoning his fallen companions. Back inside, Don fights valiantly, but as the infected close in, he is forced to flee. When Alice finds the boy, a creature cuts between her and Don. Panicked, Don makes the devastating decision to leave Alice and the boy behind, escaping through a window as Alice pleads for help. Don races across the farmland, chased by the infected, ignoring Alice's desperate cries. He eventually reaches the river, where Jacob is struggling to untie a motorboat. Don boards and starts the engine, but as Jacob tries to jump in, he slips into the water. The infected close in on him, and Jacob transforms, attacking Don. In a brutal confrontation, Don unalived the infected Jacob with the boat's propeller before speeding away to safety. 15 days after the virus's emergence, the UK is quarantined. By the 28th day, the country is devastated, with the infected population dwindling due to starvation. Weeks later, NATO forces, led by the USA, arrive to clean up and secure the area. By the 18th week, Britain is declared infection-free, and reconstruction efforts begin as citizens who fled during the chaos are gradually allowed to return. Among those returning are Alice and Don's children, Tammy and Andy, who arrive back in London alongside other school children. Their return raises concerns for Dr. Scarlett, who believes it's too soon for the young to be exposed to such risks. During routine health checks, she notices that Andy shares his mother's unique eye color. Once they are cleared, Tammy and Andy are reunited with their father, Don, in his new high-security apartment within District 1, a heavily fortified repatriation zone. The siblings are eager to learn what happened to their mother, and Don, hiding the truth, lies that he witnessed Alice's death during the outbreak. That night, Andy has a vivid nightmare of his mother as a terrifying infected creature. Fearful of losing memories of her, he seeks comfort in his sister's room. The following morning, while Don is at work, Andy and Tammy decide to sneak out of the apartment. Carefully crossing a bridge, they leave the safe zone and explore the empty streets of London, reveling in their newfound freedom. Little do they know, their movements are being tracked by Sniper Doyle, who watches from his rooftop post, alerting his team to the children's risky adventure. While exploring the eerily silent city, Tammy and Andy stumble upon a delivery bike outside an abandoned pizzeria. Determined to keep moving, Tammy heads inside to search for the keys. The once bustling restaurant is now a horrific scene, with decaying bodies strewn across the floor. Stifling a gag and covering her nose, Tammy retrieves the bike keys from a lifeless body, but the sudden scuttle of roaches startles her. After grabbing a helmet for safety, she reunites with Andy, and the two speed off into the deserted streets. As they ride through the city, they witness the haunting aftermath of the outbreak, collapsed buildings, debris, and countless graves erected during the past few months. Eventually, they make their way to their old family home. Here, they collect a photograph of their mother, Alice, and other sentimental belongings. In the attic, Andy makes a startling discovery. The windows are sealed shut, and a disturbing array of spoiled food sits atop a table. Their names are crudely scrawled on the wall, marked with strange symbols. In a terrifying moment, Andy notices someone in the reflection of a dusty mirror. Thinking it's his sister, he approaches, only to realize it's Alice. Her eyes are wild, one of them bloodshot, but to his surprise, she seems otherwise normal. Alice embraces Andy tightly, and at first, he feels relief, but her hug soon becomes uncomfortably strong. Before things can escalate, military personnel storm the house, pulling Andy away while capturing Alice. Alice is taken to a sterile facility where she's given a decontamination shower and restrained to a stretcher. Dr. Scarlett, tasked with investigating Alice, tries to ask questions, but Alice remains silent. During testing, Scarlett discovers that Alice had been bitten, yet she never transformed, which defies all expectations. Further analysis reveals that Alice is a carrier of the virus, capable of spreading it but immune herself, making her a potential key to developing a cure. However, higher authorities, fearing the risk, demand Alice be executed to prevent any further contamination, ordering Scarlett to complete her research on Alice's body postmortem. Meanwhile, Tammy and Andy are placed in quarantine, awaiting answers. Their father, Don, visits them, only for the siblings to confront him over his deceit. Riddled with guilt, Don bypasses security and sneaks into Alice's isolation chamber, hoping to apologize. He explains that panic led him to leave her behind, to which Alice responds tenderly with "I love you." Touched by her forgiveness, Don kisses her. But the kiss seals his fate. Alice's saliva transmits the virus to him, and within moments, Don begins a violent transformation. Racked with pain, Don turns into one of the infected. Still restrained, Alice watches helplessly as her zombified husband brutally assaults her, biting her neck and gouging out her eyes. His rampage doesn't stop there. Don breaks free and attacks the guards, spreading the infection through the hospital before escaping into District 1. Once the higher-ups realize the magnitude of the breach, they initiate a full-scale lockdown. Code Red is declared. Chaos unfolds as soldiers gear up to contain the outbreak. Meanwhile, Tammy and Andy's guard becomes one of the infected, pounding furiously on their glass enclosure. His assault is abruptly stopped when Dr. Scarlett unalived him. She swiftly frees the children, and together they sprint through the facility, which is now littered with the bodies of the infected. As the trio reaches a crowd of civilians desperate to escape, Scarlett asserts the kids' importance, but the situation spirals into chaos. Amidst the confusion, Andy is separated from Scarlett and Tammy, and he's herded into a garage with a group of terrified people. Soldiers lock the doors to protect them, but soon the entire district loses power, plunging the area into darkness. In the eerie quiet, Andy hears a faint sound coming from the door. When he investigates, he's met with the horrifying sight of his father, now a fully transformed zombie, drenched in blood. Don smashes through the door and leaps into the group of civilians, biting ferociously. Pandemonium ensues as the virus spreads through the garage, turning more people into the infected. Andy scrambles to escape, climbing over bodies until he finds refuge in a ventilation shaft. Back on the streets, the military turns on the emergency lights as snipers, including Doyle, position themselves to provide cover. Scarlett and Tammy flee from the onslaught of zombies in the hospital lobby, narrowly escaping as soldiers open fire. Doyle, from his rooftop vantage point, methodically takes down zombies, but the sheer number of infected pouring into the streets proves overwhelming. The higher-ups, realizing the situation is out of control, issue a grim order. All survivors are to be eliminated. Amidst the carnage, Andy emerges from the ventilation shaft, finding himself in the heart of the chaos. Fortunately, Doyle spots the boy and refuses to follow the brutal directive. Instead, he snipes the zombies surrounding Andy, even saving him from a near-fatal encounter, giving him a fighting chance to escape alongside a handful of survivors. A few of the infected manage to scale the rooftops, eliminating some of the remaining snipers. After clearing the streets below, Doyle realizes it's time to retreat as well. He swiftly makes his way to a nearby warehouse, where Andy reunites with Scarlett and Tammy, anxiously sharing the grim news about their father. Shortly after, Doyle joins them and proposes a risky plan to guide them out before the military eliminates everyone. Slipping out through the back door, the group sneaks cautiously through the dark, deserted streets, carefully avoiding any guards. As they move, Doyle distracts Flynn, the helicopter pilot, through radio communication, ensuring they aren't spotted. Just when they think they're in the clear, Flynn drops devastating news. In 4 minutes, the military will bomb District 1. Doyle convinces Flynn to pick him up at Regent's Park, but intentionally avoids mentioning the rest of the survivors. The group breaks into a desperate run toward the park. However, a sniper lurking in the shadows takes aim, unaliving one of the survivors. Panic erupts as they try to find cover, but the sniper continues firing, claiming the lives of a few more. Scarlett is grazed by a bullet, leaving only her, the siblings, Doyle, and a man named Sam. Doyle tries using the reflection from a piece of metal to locate the sniper, but the enemy immediately shoots it down. Doyle quickly realizes the sniper is a frightened civilian, not a trained soldier. In a last-ditch effort, Doyle asks Sam to make a zigzag run to distract the life-taker, but Sam refuses, leaving young Andy to take on the task. Running in an unpredictable pattern, Andy manages to confuse the sniper, giving Doyle the opening to take him out with a single shot. As Andy takes cover behind a wall, he glimpses a haunting vision of his father nearby. But before he can fully comprehend it, the group pulls him away and the image of Dawn vanishes. With time running out, the group sprints toward the perimeter, barely scaling a fence before the district is bombed. Explosions ripple through the area, wiping out thousands, including all of Scarlett's vital research for a cure. The hospital erupts in flames, consuming Alice, who is trapped inside. The survivors rush through a nearby tunnel, flames licking at their heels, but they escape just as the building collapses in an inferno. As morning dawns, Doyle's group reaches the desolate Regent's Park. While they await Flynn's arrival, Scarlett confides in Doyle about Alice's immunity and the possibility that Tammy and Andy may carry the same genetic trait, offering a glimmer of hope for creating a vaccine. Flynn contacts them over the radio, warning them to be on alert as a horde of zombies has escaped the bombing. Doyle instructs everyone to hide in the tall grass as Flynn lands nearby. However, Flynn is furious upon seeing the group, refusing to take them on board. As tempers flare, Sam notices the approaching zombies and impulsively clings to the helicopter in desperation. Infuriated, Flynn maneuvers the chopper wildly to shake him off, and as the horde closes in, he uses the helicopter's blades to slice through the infected, unaliving them. Despite the carnage, some zombies survive and continue pursuing Doyle, Scarlett, and the children. Sam eventually loses his grip and falls, presumably becoming one of the infected. The group, now reduced in number, runs for their lives as Doyle fires at any zombies that get too close. Flynn instructs Doyle to meet him at Wembley Stadium, but insists he'll leave the others behind. As they round a corner, the group is shocked to see the military has begun flooding the city with toxic gas. They scramble to hide in a nearby car as the zombies reach them and begin pounding on the windows, smearing blood across the glass. Moments later, the gas envelopes the zombies, unaliving them instantly. Before the group can relax, soldiers equipped with flamethrowers sweep the area, incinerating anything left alive. Desperate to escape, Doyle attempts to jumpstart the car, but when it fails, he pushes it himself. His sacrifice buys enough time for Scarlett and the children to escape, but he is burned alive in the process. Scarlett takes the wheel, speeding through the streets of London as military helicopters open fire on them. After narrowly avoiding bullets, Scarlett veers the car into an underground subway tunnel where they are forced to continue on foot. Using Doyle's night vision scope, Scarlett leads Tammy and Andy through the darkened tunnels, but they accidentally slip on decaying bodies, causing them to fall and become separated. In the chaos, Scarlett frantically calls out for the siblings. She soon reunites with Tammy, but her shouts attract a lurking zombie. The creature snatches Doyle's weapon and viciously beats Scarlett till she was unalived. Heartbroken, Tammy retrieves the weapon and is devastated to find Scarlett's lifeless. Meanwhile, Andy finds himself alone on a dark platform, only to be confronted by the same zombie that killed Scarlett. The infected creature leaps onto Andy, biting his neck. By the time Tammy reaches him, it's too late. The monster turns to face her, revealing himself as none other than her father. Overcome with shock and grief, Tammy hesitates but ultimately unalived him. Tammy rushes to her brother's side, but Andy, now fearful of infecting her, runs away. She follows him and, when he stumbles, she finally checks on him, noticing his eyes turning bloodshot, just like Alice's. This revelation means Andy, like their mother, is immune to the virus. With heavy hearts, the siblings reach Wembley Stadium, where they deliver the grim news about Doyle to Flynn. With no other options, Flynn agrees to take the children, flying them away from the ravaged city. As they soar over Britain, the scale of the devastation is undeniable. 28 days later, Flynn's helicopter is found abandoned in France. Over the radio, desperate cries for help echo through the airwaves. A chilling sight emerges, a horde of zombies storming through the streets, headed toward the Eiffel Tower, signaling the virus has spread beyond Britain's borders. And that brings us to the intense conclusion of this pulse-pounding survival horror film. A story of family, sacrifice, and the devastation of a virus that brought the UK to its knees, leaving us with a haunting cliffhanger as the infection spreads beyond Britain. With its relentless action, heartbreaking moments, and a glimpse of hope through the immunity of Andy and Alice, this film keeps us on the edge of our seats. What did you think of the movie's dark twists and shocking ending? Do you think humanity will find a way to stop the virus before it's too late? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a review. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.